My name is Gail Proctor. I'm a 2022 graduate of Genesis Ministries. I am now celebrating over 3 years of sobriety from chemical dependence. I started my journey early in life and been in the chains of addiction for over 20 years. During that time, I had learned a lot of toxic behaviors. All of my life, what I learned was guilt and shame, people-pleasing, perfectionism. I had to be good no matter what the cost. Life was exhausting. I lived as an adult in anger and resentment. I lived in physical abuse, mental abuse, just a lot of trauma and tragic events that took place in my early adulthood. During this time, I found drinking was a way to cope and to just numb what I was feeling inside. I learned how to become the super mom, the super wife, the person everybody could go to, and I aimed to please everyone. On the outside, I was looking good and like I was living a life, but on the inside, I was slowly dying. When I was 34 years old, I started on a journey of prescription opiate pain medication. I was having some back issues at the time, had multiple back surgeries. I was in and out of the hospital, and the doctors treating what they saw in me and what I asked for gave me all I wanted. I thought I had an endless supply, but as the saying goes, one is too many and 1,000's never enough. I had just graduated from nursing school, so I added another hat on top. I was going to be the best nurse out there. There was going to be nobody like me. As the years progressed into my addiction of the prescription pain medication, I went into work one night withdrawing, and I crossed a line that I never thought I would cross. I began diverting pain medication, the very medication that was ordered for my patients, became a new way to feed my own addictions. 3 months later, of course, I was caught, and that was in 2014. I was glad that I was caught because I knew something was wrong with me. I just didn't know what it was. And they told me I had a disease of addiction. So therefore, I started my identity changed to that of an addict. Every wrong choice I made, I justified because I'm an addict, and that's just who I am. As I progressed through it and the back surgeries continued, I was still in the cycle of the ups and downs on the opiate pain medication. My mind did not know the difference, and it always missed that little engine on that prescription bottle as needed, because in my mind, I always needed it. I entered a substance abuse medication treatment program. Now, you may have heard of these programs as the Suboxone or the methadone clinics. I was like, okay, this sounds like a good deal. I can get off of this cycle and go and live my life and not have to worry about this pain medicine anymore. I had a doctor tell me that very first visit, Gail, you should have came to see us sooner. We could have helped you with that chronic pain you're having. Oh, okay. So, of course, my addiction never changed, just the drug I was using did. I stayed on the methadone for about 4 years. I'm still living in the addict behaviors, but I had started putting on the big old mask of denial. I only let people see what they wanted to see. I had begun to attend church. I was reading my Bible. I was leading in Celebrate Recovery, just doing all the things, and all the while justifying my behavior being in bondage over yet another drug. In December of 2020, my mom died under hospice care. When that death occurred, what was happening is all these emotions and behaviors and traumas of my childhood come rushing back at me full force. And once again, you guessed it, I started abusing the methadone and the other medication. Once again, looking for anything I could find to numb the pain. In June of 2021, I overdosed. I can remember laying in that emergency room bed thinking, I am so done with this. I'm going to church, I'm reading my Bible, I'm serving, I'm doing all the things, but I'm dead. I am dead. And you know what I did? I told the Lord I was done with him too. I said, Satan, you had me. Go ahead and take me on. At that very moment, I felt the darkness, and I literally lost my mind for about 72 hours. I still have flashbacks from that. If I could have got out of that hospital at that time, I would have ended my life. I tried to, even in the emergency room. What I remember now is the flashbacks is Jesus' hand on top of my head, surrounding me, saying, "She is mine, and you can't have her," saying, "She is mine, I have chosen her." I was placed on the floor where the nurses I had worked with for 13 years, who knew my story and had heard, you talk about humility. But what I remember about that is it wasn't the gossip or the wrong words spoken, or did you know who's up here on this floor now, what she's done again. What I remember is them same nurses that I had worked for all those years coming to my room during their shifts, after and before their shifts, praying over me. When I woke up 72 hours later, I finally realized what love really is. There stood Jesus, and his arms was open wide, and I looked over and he said to me, "Welcome home, daughter, come home to me." Fall into my arms. At that moment, I was like, okay, this is love. This is what I have been searching for all of my life. That is when my heart transformation began. I knew something different was about to happen in my life, and I didn't know what, but I also knew it was going to take a lot of work and a lot of growth. I had to change the way I was thinking. I come off of that high dose of methadone. I never touched it again, or anything else for that matter. The doctor said, "Gail, you can't do this. This is a medication you have to be tapered off from. You can't stand the withdrawals." And it was tough, guys. It was very hard. However, I told them doctors, I said, "You're right, I can't, but my God can, and He's going to see me right through this." At 96 days clean, I was still tested positive for the methadone. It took that amount of time, and that methadone, it was still running rampant in my body. It was day 114 before I finally had a clean drug test. I went to a few other programs prior to coming to Genesis. One of the programs first identified my heart issue. And I was like, "I've got a heart issue?" They was like, "Yes, Gail." She says, "You don't know Jesus." And I remember putting my hands on my hips and saying, "What? Have you seen my Bible? It is highlighted and marked, and I know scripture." And they said, "So does Satan." They said, "What it is, Gail, if you die, your salvation's secure. You'll go to heaven. But what you're missing is you got all this head knowledge, and your heart is sick." And I was like, "You're wrong, because you don't know Jesus personally." I was like, "You're wrong. You don't have him the Lord of your life. You're wrong." No, who I had as Lord of my life was my own self. It was that simple. I went back to that counselor about 24 hours later, and I told her, I said, "You're exactly right." Now that is when my life took a radical change. So I come into Genesis in December the 6th, 2021. And wow, did my life change. Because what Genesis offered me, it was more than just the structure. It was more than the counseling and the Bible studies and working through traumas and hurts, working through an inventory, working through the steps. It wasn't just reading my Bible. I'd been in church then by years. I had never read my Bible all the way through, but I had the blessing of time to be able to sit there and just finally learn about who the God I love is. I've often said I would love just to be able to go back to Genesis inside the program and just have the year again, because I enjoyed it so much. Never again, I hope that I'll never have that blessing of time where I don't have to worry about what I'm going to have for dinner the next day. I don't have to worry about what am I going to do about this problem in my life. What's going on in my family? I need to fix that too. but I could have that time just to be alone in the presence of the Lord and be a testimony today of God's transformation, power, and the glory of how He changed my life from that to where I am today. I am still at Genesis today. I'll say that the Lord called me to Genesis, but Christy Sarnes won't let me leave. So I'm on staff at Genesis. I'm the cabin manager. I live on site there. And I'm also the transitional and exit counselor. I start working with the girls at 9 months, getting them prepared to re-enter the world to stand the best possible success that they can have. I am forever grateful. Genesis changed my life, but it's more than that. What happened was God used Genesis to change my life, putting the people in my life that I still seek counsel from today, who love me, who show grace, who speak the truth in love to me. Discipline if I need it, because I know it's for my good. It's my family, my physical family. They're being restored. Our relationships now are better than ever. I don't care what other people call me. I don't care what my past calls me. I don't even care what I call myself, because I know who I belong to today. I am a child of the King of Kings, and I am so excited to see God's next big move in my life.